You're listening to the world-famous White Roof Radio, Woofcast number 618, recorded March 21st, 2017. Tonight brought to you by CravenSpeed.com, MotoringStripes.com, and OutMotoring.com. Mini performance, speed, and style. It's OutMotoring.com. That was funny. Hey everybody, it's DB in Arizona bringing you a brand new episode of the world famous White Roof Radio. We are not on bye week this week. We are actually making a show. And we're talking about Mini Cooper stuff for you, like we like to do. Of course, Todd's here as always. Our good man Todd Pearson, MotoringStripes.com. Todd, say hi.
Hello, I am here.
Our chief mechanic, the Reverend Mr. Chad Miller from Detroit Tune, DetroitTune.com, has joined us this evening as well.
Hello, I'm waving, but you can't see it.
Alex is joining us from the wrong coast.
Yes, the wrong coast where it's like really, really cold right now.
And as a special,
hi everybody.
And as a special treat tonight, our good man
from an undisclosed
location, Grand Slam Ball Bearings from MotoringStyle.com is joining us this evening.
So I will be known as my Hammer and Coop name tonight, as we all will. My Hammer and Coop name, for those who don't know, and I'm surprised you don't, is Grand Slam Ball Bearings.
Yes.
Ooh,
DB?
There's this.
DB?
My Hammer and Coop name, as I will be known for the remainder of the episode tonight, is Destroyer Ball Bearings. So oddly enough, Gabe and I are related.
We are brothers in crime here. Todd, I don't know if you're familiar with your Hammer and Coop name, but you are Thor Pete.
I got the big hammer.
Well, and also your last name is Pete. So for what it's worth,
that negates the hammer part.
Yeah, I was going to say. No, let's say nobody's winning in this.
No. Gabe, did you happen to run for Chad and Alex as well?
No, I didn't, because guess what? And cue the wah-wah music here.
Oh, let me guess, the site crashed again.
My flash crash.
Shocker.
So for those who aren't playing along at home, and Alex and Chad, I apologize, you should get in on it if your flash is still working, but we're using basically a 8-9-year-old, almost 10-year-old flash banner that has been hosted on a banner blog, essentially, that collates banners.
Yes.
And it has memorialized, if you will, a flash banner for Hammer and Coop, the video series that MINIUSA created to introduce the R56 Mini.
And we will be talking more about that in this episode.
It's brilliant. It's still there, and I really implore everybody to check it out on MotoringStyle.com. I'm sure we'll put a link up as well.
Yes, but don't try it on your mobile phone because it's Flash.
Right.
Unless you have Android.
and then there's a 50% chance your phone is controlled by the Chinese, if that's the case. But
wow. Anyway, we're going to talk about Hammer and Coop. We're going to talk about more about the marketing shakeups that, oddly enough, Todd predicted. We're going to talk more about that tonight. We might talk about Mini Cooper value. We've got race results. We possibly have an interview with Luis Perocarpi from the Lap Motorsports. We have that either tonight or we have that next week. We'll see how long the show goes. There's some really fine Black Roof Radio for you patrons, so I'd like you to go check that out. If you haven't already, click over to patreon.com/White Roof Radio. If you want to get in on it, like 50 cents a show. Boom. $1 a show. Boom. Done. And you get in and help keep everything going here and keep other things in motion as well. I've got some other ideas that I want to possibly sneak in one more show for us. And if you want to see us continue to grow and have really cool stuff, help us out. Patreon.com/White Roof Radio. Besides that, you also get the Black Roof Radio stuff. This week is pretty good.
I'm sorry, DB, my Italian heritage is not going to let you get away with butchering Lewis's last name.
Thank you.
It's Perocarpi.
Thank you, Perocarpi.
There it is.
He's racing. He's doing this really cool thing, and you guys will hear this in the interview, but just really quick. He's doing this really cool thing down in Rocky Point, Mexico, Puerto Penasco, where it's like a miniature version of like a proper desert rally, almost like a time speed distance rally, and he's doing it in an almost bone stock R60 Countryman, just with a 2-inch lift and some off-road tires.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, should be a good time. We might talk about that. We got a lot of things we're going to get to. We're going to get to all that here in just a minute. Before we do, what do we like to do first? Let's pay some bills. Our friends over at outmotoring.com, they wanted us to remind you that they're awesome. But you guys already knew that. You're going to go over there to outmotoring.com. You're going to subscribe. First thing you're going to do is subscribe to the email newsletter, because as soon as you do that, that is going to get you your own 5% discount code. Oh my God. Chad's Hammer and Coop name. Chad from this point forward is no longer the Reverend. Chad from this point forward is now named Cutter Magnum.
That sounds
Alex,
pretty cool.
Get on yours. Let's see what yours
that is epic. Anyway, outmotoring.com. He's got all the stuff for you. Outmotoring.com. They got all the things that you need. It's springtime. You got to get your car clean. Full line of car care products for you over at Outmotoring. What?
DB, can I just tell you something? In the Midwest, you know what we need to do right around March?
Wash your car.
We need to get our supplies.
Yeah.
And we need to take a look at what we don't have anymore and what we need.
Yeah.
And so what I want everybody to do is make that list of what you need and go to outmotoring.com and fill it. Because basically what you're going to need all year is to take care of your car. And we all know you need to wash it and wax it once in the spring, once in the fall, and if you're good to your car, you wash it wax.
Yeah.
You wax it once in the summer.
Yeah, and maybe you need some clay bar. Maybe you need some interior.
You're going to need
leather
some clay
cleaner.
bar for sure. Your clay bar is probably old and cracked.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm just saying this not because I want outmotoring.com to get business. I'm saying it because I'm reminding myself these are the things I need.
See, there you go. Outmotoring.com's got you covered for all the car care products. Plus, anything's gotten knocked off over the winter from the salt and the snow and who knows what. You left maybe a body panel, one of those little fender flares. Those things fall off all the time.
Well, I'll tell you, the clay bar is the one thing. If you do one thing this spring, you clay bar your car.
That's a whole show all to itself, Gabe. It really is. Clay bar's awesome.
Absolutely.
My favorite. It's my favorite.
We should, by the way, you should do some audio of somebody clay barring their car once.
Because nothing makes better radio than somebody
than the sound of squeaking.
But I can just tell you, as somebody who's clay barred lots of cars, it's really satisfying.
Oh, it is totally.
It was totally satisfying. Yeah.
And when I was in Philadelphia a couple of years ago, and people who've never seen clay bar at work or whatever, oh my gosh,
I'm sorry, Alex.
You gotta say this, and I'll finish my story.
Alex wins.
No, this is Aaron. Is that Aaron from Mount Motoring?
That's Aaron from Mount Motoring's name.
Oh, it's Aaron's.
So we'll finish the ad with Aaron from Mount Motoring name.
Mine.
No, it's awesome. Todd, go ahead. When you're in Philly.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about clay bar.
Yeah.
And then we'll share Aaron's Hammer and Coop name. Somebody said, I don't know how to use clay bar, and basically it was like you have to wet it down and then rub it until it's smooth.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And we all know that's exactly what she said.
Yes.
That is exactly it.
Anyway, outmotoring.com. Also, while you're there, because it's cars and coffee season, you're going to get your car shiny, ready to go, so you don't spin out when you go out to Cars and Coffee. You need new shirts, hats, shoes, watches, all the Mini Cooper personal items. Outmotoring.com's got you covered there. Everything that you would normally find at a Mini Cooper dealer and more is available at outmotoring.com. Why don't you go over and check it out? Plus all the little small bits and parts of things that you need just to do, everyday maintenance and repairs on your Mini. Outmotoring.com's got you covered. All Minis too, not just the old Minis, but the new Minis as well. And also, I don't want you to forget the ever-growing line of Aston Martin parts. All that and so much more made possible by our friend Axle Grease Coyote at outmotoring.com. Mini performance.
Amazing.
Mini performance, speed, and R56 side scuttles. That's outmotoring.com. And Axle Grease Coyote.
All right, Charlie, where's my name? Come on.
Alex, this is great. This is
here we
good.
go. I'm going to have to find a drum roll.
Alex is... Oh, I got to get to my gallery here. Alex is Alligator Seawolf.
That's good. That's legitimately good.
Yeah, Chad, try to get that in the Slack so I can make sure those go in the show notes. Oh my gosh, Alligator
That's
Seawolf.
legitimately good.
An
Wow.
appropriately homosexual name for Alex.
Come on, dude. Get this stuff.
Oh my god, that seems inappropriate, but
Yeah, you're gonna get me in trouble.
And for those of you who are wondering, you maybe you're a little bit new to the Mini Cooper community and you're just not really sure what we're on about. Again, oh yeah.
Yeah,
you hear that, and you've been around the Mini community is for any amount of time since 2007, you hear Asia's heat of the moment. You don't think of the really cheesy MTV music video. No, sir. No, sir, you do not. You think of, and I'm going to link this up in the show notes, you think of the Hammer Coop music video, which is awesome.
Which is funny because we're going to segue this into our story.
Yeah, we're just going to jump right into it here.
And this is going to come full circle here in a minute.
That's our show title right there, too. Alligator Seawolf.
Big news this week is this advertising agency for Mini.
It's huge
BSSP,
news.
Their Shine, Stern and Partners, has resigned as the ad agency.
After 11 years.
For MINIUSA, after 11 years.
Yeah.
And this was kind of abrupt. Showed up in Ad Age Weekly last week, and this is like the next domino.
Yeah,
in the marketing chain that has kind of fallen at MINIUSA because Tom Noble left last month.
Yep,
and now the marketing agency now. All being told here, the story is that MINIUSA was getting ready to put under review the agency, do agency reviews, which basically put it out for bid.
Yeah, like it's like an RFP for marketing people. They send out requests for review.
Exactly, and Gabe, you can attest to this as an agency person for many years. When that happens, it's kind of a I don't want to say usually it's a slap because Europeans
you're disavowing them, right? In some way.
Yeah. Europeans do it a little bit differently, and this is Mini corporate doing.
Well, there's actually a predefined time,
right? That
from a corporate standpoint, you are dictated to put it out for review. Right. And the notion there is we don't want any fat cats. We don't want any cozy relationships. We want to constantly put people under pressure to do great work and do it for good value.
Yeah, which totally acceptable. Makes sense to me.
But
so here's
I got a question for Gabe because it's from the industry. I mean, he has experience in the industry. Like, is it putting aside the fact that Mini was putting under review? Like, is it common that like an agency says, well, we're just going to drop this client because that's pretty much what they said, right? Like my company, if we say like, well, we're going to drop this client, that wouldn't go well with anyone. So,
it's a good question. So it's a great question. So is it common? No. Is it unheard of? No. It does happen. Mm-hmm. Here's why it happens. It happens because a company, an agency looks at the scenario and says, listen, when it comes down to it, this client is more trouble than it's worth. And we cannot staff and produce work and make money effectively.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. And we don't need the name. And here's the critical thing for agencies. What you want as an agency out of a relationship like this is revenue and basically content for your book, for your portfolio.
Right.
They already have that.
Right. They got 11 years of
they have 11 years of really good work, maybe 10 and a half. And
well, can you take out time for cram it in the boot?
They don't. So they've got all that, and they realize they're not making money, or they're not making as much money as they would with other potential clients. So we look around. I'm sure they look around the table and like, guys, we don't need this anymore. Like, I mean, it's great. It sucks that we're going to lose this client because everybody knows this brand, but let's take this energy and go after another brand, make more money, do different work, and make our guys happy. We've got people slogging in the trenches working on MINIUSA who don't want to do it anymore, right. And it's bringing us down. And so, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, and I don't know all these details. I'm just sort of surmising a little bit from my experience in the industry, but there's a lot of reasons, and I'm guessing not that far off in some regard. And I think that it's easy to look at this and say, oh, they hate MINIUSA, they hate working on this, or MINIUSA is dissatisfied, or yada yada. I really think that it's a relationship that has run its course, and I don't think there's any bad blood there. A lot of bad blood. Like, I don't think that's like some crazy like scenario where MINIUSA was completely unhappy or they're doing shit work. I really don't think they were set up for a ton of success in the past few years, but I don't think they were doing bad work. I think it's a matter of, listen, we know it's run its course. We're going to actually step away because we are a respectable group of people. MINIUSA is also a respectable client. Let's part ways, friends, and let's go and do something different with a different group.
Right.
Well, and so let's put it this way also. We know from sales for the last little more than a year, they've been down at MINIUSA. And they've been down pretty significantly. And we're talking double digits. Okay? Now, that means a lot of things and some cutbacks. And from the official statement from BSSP, the ad agency, for the former ad agency for MINIUSA, I'm going to read this verbatim from the quote from their statement. It said that BMW's aggressive cost-cutting and procurement-mandated reviews, as well as the consolidation of media business for both BMW and Mini under Interpublic Group's which means, they were buying media through a global group now. So that's another place that ad agencies make money. Okay.
Well, and it is, and I will tell you this: BSSP cannot compete because Interpublic. So BSSP is not a massive agency. Interpublic is. They cannot compete at this kind of sort of like. They're not designed to create profit off of that business. I'll put it that way.
Exactly. And then they went on to say that because of this, it led to a reduction in staffing. All of these things have contributed to the financial challenges of managing the business profitably. So basically, BSSP said publicly, we can't make the kind of money we should make off of this anymore for a myriad of reasons, and here they are. It was very diplomatic, if you will, but I almost think it was a little passive aggressive.
But I wonder what kind of message. I wonder what kind of message that sends to like the rest of the potential candidates. Like, are you like? I'm sure there are so small agencies that would love to work with MINIUSA, but at the same time, I'm wondering if like what BSSP is saying, which has a really great reputation in the industry, is kind of a buzzkill, right? Like maybe it's actually very difficult to work with MINIUSA these days. I don't know.
No, I think it's
so. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Gabe.
Guys, can I tell you the ultimate here? Because I think all you guys make really good points, but here's the reality. McDonald's recently put out their business to bid.
Right.
And the way they created the RFP, they basically said that with the blended rate that they expected, that for the first 2 years, any agency who won the business would do it at cost.
Oof. Wow.
That's rough.
Yeah, at cost. If you want our business, you're doing it at cost. And guess what? There's only really 2 to 3 major agencies in the world. Right. One of the 3 dropped out because they're like, basically, when you like, do that thing where you slowly raise your middle finger and you like pretend you're like raising it with the other hand.
Yes.
They did that. They're like, no, absolutely not. Like, are you kidding me? And so McDonald's, was asking something that was impossible. And the reason why, and this is why it's so effed up, because they could.
Right.
And so when you think about the dastardly things that a client could do, MINIUSA is not necessarily doing that. MINIUSA is actually pressured by BMW of Germany. And in a lot of ways, like, they're beholden to them when it comes to how much they spend, the timelines they have, how many agencies outside of their purview are actually, controlling their interests. And so MINIUSA in a lot of ways is just trying to manage that while managing an actual agency that fulfills their regional, national needs. It's really tough. And I think BSSP isn't necessarily calling out MINIUSA. They're calling out BMW.
Right.
Which I think is the key thing.
Right. And I think we've been talking about this for a very long time now, is that the global marketing push that Mini has done for the last 3 years, since 2014, it's been a global push. They've kind of had the same marketing collateral, if you will, and the same messaging global. And that doesn't seem to be working in the U.S. Now, I'm not blaming sales completely on marketing. That is only one factor of the sales. But it is a factor that the marketing, the current marketing and that of the last 3 years in the USA for MINIUSA has not been successful, in my opinion. And Gabe, I don't think you disagree with that. And so they've got to look at it and say, we have to break away and we have to find something that is U.S. specific, that is to this market, because other markets seem to be doing okay.
Yeah.
With the global marketing initiative, it doesn't seem to be.
Well, so can I just say something? Like I think that there's a couple different like angles you could take of that. I think the first one is other countries are being successful because they have not had the rise in fuel price. I'm sorry, the decrease in fuel prices that we have.
Right.
And our culture dictates. It's going to sound strange, but our culture dictates that a fuel decrease is directly related to a vehicle size increase.
Right.
And so MINIUSA is dealing with that reality, which I think is a little different than other regions. That said, I think that fresh ideas is going to help. There's no question. I think that it's the fact that there's a company that's been creating campaigns for MINIUSA like every 6, 8, 12 months. They're going away, and there's going to be a new group doing that. It's probably going to be a good thing.
Right.
And I think it's actually a good time to take a look back at when Crispin was doing the work and when BSSP was fresh. Remember the Crispin work?
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Crispin basically created their name off of the work they did for Mini and maybe one or two other clients. And they became the darlings of the industry because of that work. And so what do? They were charged with introducing a brand to the United States, but not just a brand. They were charged with introducing a brand that was on face value opposed to everything the United States automotive industry was like built on.
Right.
Which is size matters. You spend more money for size. Premium means bigger cars. SUVs were popular. Trucks were popular. Small cars were seen as oddities.
Yeah.
And here we are, 15 years later, it's come full circle completely.
Well, I don't know if it's come full circle. I mean, the first few years, they sold 20,000 cars. So, I mean, it's not quite...
It's the same marketing position, I think, that we're in. Like you said, because of fuel prices, nobody wants to buy small cars anymore. It's not just mini small cars that the sales are doing poorly. It's every small car.
It's everybody. But I mean, they do sell more cars. I see what you're going for, and I think you're right. But I do think it's a slightly different market than it was back then. Because back then there was nothing. Like, think about a small car with a navigation screen in 2002. It didn't exist. I mean. There wasn't even satellite radio in a small car. Like, small cars had roll-up windows.
And they were all inexpensive because they were small. That was just the thing. And Mini kind of broke out of that, which is interesting to think about back to the history of the car, because Mini did a lot of things to break the auto industry from doing what they've always done. Mini was the first to transversely mount an engine, meaning, didn't go inline.
In 1959, you're right. They turned the automotive world sideways.
Yeah,
right,
literally.
Right. And you think about it, they kind of did in 2002 in the U.S. when they came here with this campaign of the SUV backlash and small is the new big and go left when everybody else goes right. And it was absolute genius. It won so many awards for Crispin. Mm-hmm. And it was really appealing to a lot of people. It was kind of cool and it was kind of underground, if you will. And it was very rebellious.
And Todd, here's the thing that's so important. The product actually backed that up. The product was, you fast forward and you could talk about, the CVTs didn't have lifelong fluid and Chad, you could talk about all the problems here and there. But the reality is the product was engineered to a degree that was infinitely better than other small cars at the time. And to this day, you get in a car, a 2002 Mini, and it drives amazing if it's running properly. Yeah. So fast forward, though, and I think the problem is, and I love the new Minis. I love them. I think they're the best small cars out there, but they don't have the uniqueness they once did. Not because they're not good, but because everybody else companies. Yeah. Exactly. Other companies have looked at that equation and said, we can do that.
And now everything is pretty, I don't want to say on an equal playing field, because it's not. I still think Mini is one of the better built products on the market today, especially for the price, what it is. Now the problem is that it's competing with other cars like, the little Audis and even small BMWs, and it's a very difficult place to be. Once again, it's like a new rock in a hard place, and here's Mini in there somewhere trying to fit in, and they come out with the Clubman and the Countryman to try and compete and expand in a market where people are demanding larger cars than all-wheel drive. Okay, so now we have these two new four-door cars, a Clubman and a Countryman, that for a year the Clubman's been selling very well, but I posit that those sales are starting to drop off. And we're going to see for January, February, and then when March numbers come out in a couple of weeks, we'll see if that holds true. And it's going to be hard to tell until we have 3-4 months, maybe 5 months under our belt for Countryman sales, if they're going to shine as much. So I think it's a big challenge for an agency to come in and find something marketable about this brand.
And to be frank, I don't think it has anything to do with the budget that you would allocate to the marketing campaign. You could allocate gazillions of millions of dollars. It seems to me that all of the things we've been saying for the past few months and even the past year are systemic trends that, no matter what you do, you're not going to change how people are buying cars right now. I don't think so. I mean, unless there would be something really extraordinary. But then again, I don't think it's tied to a significant amount of money or even a low budget. I think it's kind of very, very difficult task given the systemic trends we see in the marketplace.
It's definitely a challenge, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And it's going to be months. I mean, I bet it's going to take 2 to 3 months, maybe more, before we see something. And it's a dark time. They're going to have to kind of tread water as a company. Right?
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, BSSP flat out, they resigned. They pulled the clause in their contract which allowed them to back out on the fly.
So you guys are saying this, and you're totally right. But I think this is what a great company and a great group of creative individuals is designed to solve for.
Yeah.
This is exactly what. Listen, this is an amazing brand. The products are excellent. There's a rabid fan base. There is nothing but opportunity in front of them. Are there issues? Are there near-term problems to solve? Absolutely. But this is exactly what the business school case studies are created for. This is what you overcome, and this is what you solve for. And I think that Mini has a huge opportunity here. And whatever ad agency takes this over. I mean, I'm in this business. This is
it's an opportunity.
This is what you design for yourself if you're dreaming of creating something to solve for. This is it. And there's no reason to say this can't be solved and they can't do great work and we can't all be laughing about or just energetic about or just proud about exactly. The work that's done every year.
I'm wondering too, is it the kind of thing that's too big of a challenge for a large established agency to come in and go, well, we don't need this to put ourselves on the map? I think it's more of we're going to find an agency who's kind of up and coming, who really wants a marquee brand, going to put them on the map, and they can come up with something. I think that's the synergy that's needed here between MINIUSA and a smallish company who's got people.
Well, and that's why Mini has hired an agency to lead this process. The whole point there is that in this scenario, BMW and Mini do this, a lot of companies like this do this. They say, listen, we're actually not, we don't do this very often. We're not smart enough in this particular endeavor to actually choose an agency. We need help with this process, and so we're going to pick a company to come in and help lead us in this process. And so we'll see. I mean, I think that your point is a good one. Is it a small, is it a mid-size, is it independent? My gut would be it's probably one of those three. It's probably not one of the big agencies. It's owned by one of the holding companies. I've worked for those holding companies. They're terrible in a lot of ways. The companies that are owned by them are hamstrung and can I say hamstrung and hogtied? I don't know why I want to say those things.
I believe you just did.
I do.
Gabe, are you in the South? Chance, are you in Alabama?
No, no. I'm on a coast. I can't disclose which coast.
Okay.
But anyway, so I think you're not wrong in saying that it very well could be a mid-sized, smaller independent agency that comes in and helps to solve for this.
Let's hope they come out, because I was not a big fan of the Defy Labels campaign.
Not either. It was okay, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It was fine, but it wasn't particularly memorable. And I think we need something as memorable as the stuff that Crispin Porter put out back in 2002 when the Mini launched, and that won a ton of awards.
Well, but also, Todd, I'm in the mood for giving BSSP their due here. Like, I'm in the mood to tip my cap to them, because they did really solid work, and it wasn't always consistent, and maybe it hasn't been done in the past 6 months or a year or whatever. But I mean, Hammer and Coop, I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, that was really good.
Can we say that's what won them the account from CPB? Was Hammer and Coop concept?
Yeah, you're right. We talk about that now. I guess we can.
Yeah, it was basically what won BSSP the account for MINIUSA. When it was put out there for bid the last time in 2006, and the Hammer and Coop concept that came out that we were talking about at the beginning of this. If you haven't seen the videos, go to YouTube, look them up. They're fantastic.
Now go to Motoring File and the homepage, and you will see every episode.
There you go. Click through to Motoring File and look at that.
And it wasn't just always, it just wasn't Hammer and Coop. I mean, there was other work. I mean, who can forget Mini's first Super Bowl campaign, which is a reference to a certain thing that I don't think we can talk about in a family podcast, but it was called Cram It in the Boot.
Cram It in the Boots.
There's still people that reference that and laugh.
Can we say, we said this before underground, but I don't know if we've ever said it on the show, is that I'm going to tell the whole story of Cram It in the Boot from the beginning.
Let's do it. I love the story.
Here's the whole story, and now that it's, we can put this out here. So originally when the Clubman came out in 2009, okay, the first Clubman, the R50.
2010.
2010, okay, it came out in 2010. They basically, BSSP came up with a bunch of concepts for how to market this new product, this Clubman, right? And it had these barn doors in the back and a big...
Oh, the Clubman. No, the Clubman was 2008. Sorry, I heard Countryman. Sorry, you're right.
The Clubman in 2008. And this was, they came up with a bunch of concepts on how to market this. And BSSP came up with some microsites and things like this to pitch whatever. And Cram It in the Boot was one of the pitches, but it was one of the throwaway pitches. We call this cannon fodder. For it was just put out there to know, we know they're going to reject this, but how funny will it be to hear the Germans say, "What is this? Cram it in the boot." What does this mean?
So many jokes.
So anyway, this was like a concept that was out there. And this is according to sources, by the way, and very credible sources. This is true. So they pitched it, and that didn't become anything. So fast forward to what year was this? This would have been 2013 Super Bowl.
No.
2012.
2012.
No, it was 2011, 2012 Super Bowl, January 2012.
January 2012. This was resurrected as the campaign for the Countryman. Because they were like, hey, let's pull this out again. This will work for the Countryman because it's even bigger. And we'll do this game show thing and Cram It in the Boot. And so they resurrected this 3-4 years later. And it became the Super Bowl ad that was kind of funny if you were, Brits kind of thought it was funny because you know,
I thought it was fantastic.
yeah, it was good, but it sure didn't.
Was it a good Super Bowl ad? It was not. Was it a hilarious ad that I loved? Absolutely.
No, I didn't like cramming in the boot. I didn't think it was that good.
I only thought it was funny because I knew the whole story and I couldn't say. I couldn't ever go, I know where this came from and it's brilliant and it's, oh my gosh, I can't believe they got away.
But I think it's hilarious. I think it's legitimately hilarious that they did it. And you know who approved it? Jim McDowell.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you think about it, like, people are like, you know, talk about advertising. MINIUSA, like, when it comes down to it, it's approved by the person at the top. And I'm certainly not trying to, you know, talk smack about anybody, but I mean, Jim McDowell approved that, and that took a lot of guts. I don't know if I could have done it. Like, in all seriousness, like that took a lot of guts,
because it was a lot of money to spend on a Super Bowl ad. They're very expensive,
and they were spinning it on an ad that was insane. That was like potentially, like, you know, people were going to talk about its inappropriateness, like in a you know, in a wide audience.
But anyway, when it all comes down to it, it was not, you know, one of the greatest Super Bowl ads ever, and people really didn't talk about it for that much longer afterwards, because I think a lot of the public was going, "What was that all about? I don't get it," and so we all kind of moved on.
Right? What just happened? And I think that, you know, that's the problem with Super Bowl ads. If they're not long enough, or if they're not simple enough, you walk away just saying, "What just happened?"
Well, and I think they did the same thing with the Defy Labels campaign. Is we saw it all in the beginning and thought this was really good, and the longer explanations that were there, but then they shortened it and made this abbreviated, you know, kind of campaign, and we're like, no, you're missing the point. Nobody's going to get it. You need a little more explanation. Like you said, Gabe, it needs a little bit longer, and there needs to be more in depth, and you need to feel this. And it was kind of like, what was that all about?
Right.
And I think they just kind of missed the ball.
No.
Buddy.
Yeah. But the Hammer and Coop stuff's funny. Go check it out.
Yeah, and that's what won them the you know, hey, hopefully the new Hammer and Coop is in our future in the next year. That's going to win the next agency.
Yes.
The work for MINIUSA.
Yes, they're going to make the next Hammer and Coop.
And these guys are going to be rock stars on the next Mini Takes the States.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sure. Let's go with that.
That's just what I'm saying. That's just what I'm saying.
Let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about our friends over at Craven Speed, cravenspeed.com. They have all the really cool stuff for your Mini that you like, that, you know, that makes your Mini go faster and kind of look better and do neat things. They also have stuff for other cars in case you don't have a Mini anymore, or you have another car besides a Mini and you say, I'd like to rock some Craven Speed gear on my Ford. Heck, go over to cravenspeed.com. It's got stuff for you. Of course, the shorty antenna. Everybody's got to have that so you don't look like an RC car. The license plate holder, which is called
Platypus.
The platypus mount. Thank you very much. Jeez, that's what I get for not being ready. The FlexPod adapter, plus the new magnetic FlexPod adapter, which is super awesome. And for those of you still rocking the R53, the pulley, plus so much more stuff. So much more stuff. Have I mentioned recently the Craven Speed short shift kit, especially for the R56? Oh man, I want that for my car so bad. It is so nice, so choice. You have to go over, check it out. Check out everything that Craven Speed has. Full line of stuff to make your Mini really cool, really fast, and really awesome. Go over there, check it out. Cravenspeed.com. Please, if you would. Thank you very much. Oh, when you place an order, make sure you leave a note there that says, hey, thanks for supporting White Roof Radio. We really like that. So do they. They, of course. Cravenspeed.com.
And I want to know, Chad, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
I want to know your opinion on short shifters in Minis.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, you love them.
Especially the Gen 2s, you know, just putting like the little adapter piece on the end, it really gets rid of some of the sloppiness to it and really kind of makes it a little more precise. I think one of the reasons I never owned a modern Volkswagen is because I always hated the shifters. They felt real gummy, real like there was nothing to it. where in the Mini you have a little more firmness to it, and as soon as you put a short shifter in there, it almost starts to feel a little gated, a little bit of kind of like sports car esque-ness of what a shifter should feel like. So I'm pro short shifter.
Nice.
I'm
pro short shifter in the R56 as well, especially if you get the little, the little tray to get rid of the boot. Oh man, it is so nice.
Yeah.
So guys, speaking of short shifters, you talked about the Countryman a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I have since tested said Countryman in Cooper S all 4 manual form throughout Oregon, and I would love to tell you about it.
I want to hear about it because the manual is something that's not available at the dealers right now.
So I can tell you right now that this is a different manual than most of us are familiar with, but it is the same manual in the Clubman all 4. Did you know that? Did you know that car does not have
the Getrag 6-speed?
A Getrag.
Really?
Nope.
And why is
it
that?
It has. Wait, hold on.
That was
it has. Yeah, it was a soda. It has an ASIN.
Really?
Yeah. Did you know that Mini had to go to another supplier for the all-wheel drive version of its manual 6-speed?
Really?
Which I guess then answers the question why it's not available at launch.
And so what's even more interesting, you know who owns ASIN?
Toyota, right?
Well, owns a good portion of it, Toyota.
Right.
Do you know where that transmission has been?
Everywhere.
No, well,
in the BRZ? In the BRZ?
Out there.
It's been It's been in front-wheel drive formats in Japanese region Toyotas.
Yeah.
Like the Scion?
And I think you guys appreciate this. In one car that I think we all know and would love to drive. That transmission is also available in the Lotus Evora.
Really?
Because behind the seats of the Lotus Evora is a Camry V6.
Right. All the Lotuses use
heavily
Toyota
modified.
Toyota drive chains. Right.
Yeah. So same engine, same transmission.
Interesting.
And so what's fascinating about it is that you feel in the Lotus Evora, it feels totally different than what it feels like in the Mini. In the Mini, you know what it feels like? A freaking 6-speed Getrag in other Minis.
No way.
And so I cornered one of the Mini product folks about this at the Countryman launch. I said, like, how does it feel? Are you serious? Like, it feels exactly like a stopping. It's like, you have no idea how hard the Germans worked to make it feel exactly like a Getrag.
Wow.
And it's funny, Gabe, because you weren't on the show last time, but I drove the Cooper S Countryman all 4 in the automatic guys, and I was amazed at how much the car felt like. I said if you put a blindfold on me, which would not be good when I'm driving, but if it did, it would feel very much like the hardtop experience. It handled
the 6-speed.
Yeah, well, the Countryman in general, the Cooper S Countryman.
That's true.
And it felt flat, and it felt like the hardtop. And I know that they worked very hard to make. They
worked hard on that. Yeah. So I think that's totally true. And I spent a lot of time in the manual, and the car I had was, had EDC. It had that's electronic damper control. It had the manual and all 4, and it felt good. It was fun to drive. I mean, was it big? Is it 3,600 pounds? Yeah. I mean, it's a big Mini. Like it's heavier than the 3 Series wagon I had for years.
I thought it felt smaller than the Clubman Gabe when I drive it. I thought it felt with the exception of sitting higher up, I thought inside the car it felt tidy.
So I can tell you, I drove to the airport in my Clubman. got on a plane, got to Portland, drove this car, flew back, drove my Clubman. The Clubman felt immediately smaller.
Oh God, here we go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, not by a ton, but it did. Like, I mean, no question.
Yeah, I didn't drive the back, so
I was lower to the ground. It was a quicker turn in. It felt lighter. My brakes weren't as good because my car has 20,000 miles on it. I mean, truth be told, but it felt quicker.
I will say
it just felt a little bit more immediate, the whole thing.
Because DB, your impression this week when you saw the Countryman in person for the first time, you said it looked really big, right?
Yeah, I saw it parked at the dealer, and I walked up to it, and I'm looking at it like, I was 50 feet away, and I was like, oh, it looks like a regular car, and then I get right up on it, and it's like, oh my God, this thing's huge, for lack of a better. If standing next to it for the first time, it felt almost as big as a Honda CR-V to me.
Yeah. And I would challenge you to go drive one sometime because I don't think it feels as big.
I can, from what you guys have told me, and from what Brian Dawson said, it doesn't. I've heard that doesn't feel that big. But when first impressions are everything. When you walk up on that car, and you're going, this car has the wrong name as Mini because it's large.
And Alex, have you seen this?
I looked at that and I thought it was car sized.
Because I want perspective from everybody here. Alex, have you seen the new Countryman in person yet?
No, I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I wanted to stop by the Mini of San Francisco, but I haven't had a chance to do it. Well, MINIUSA had invited us to the press release.
Yeah, and we should go to the data.
Yeah, Chad, have you seen it in person yet? The new Countryman?
I have not. I've just been looking at Brian's awesome photos that he's been posting of it. So that's pretty much what I've seen. I've obviously looked at some of the press photos online and things and stuff like that. And I think it looks good. But I haven't been up close to it yet.
All right, Gabe, I want to hear more about how this drives because you got to drive it in the snow also.
Yeah.
So before Gabe says just one thing, like although I haven't seen the Countryman, I see the new X1 in San Francisco, in the streets of San Francisco at every corner. Like everybody is buying this car. It's insane. Like I've never seen so many X1 in my life.
And I can't.
So if that says anything for the Countryman, that's a good thing.
I'm telling you now, I can't tell the difference between an X1 and an X5 on the road anymore.
Yeah, I can't either. But
one is dramatically larger.
I saw two of them today. I see one turn a corner, and I'm like, oh, that's a 3, right? That's an X3. I'm quizzing myself, and then I see it pass me, and I'm like, damn it, that's an X5. And then literally, I get to the stoplight, and I see a brand new X1 and an X5, and I said, those cars are identical from the rear, but the X5 is like 40% bigger.
But it's like the 5 Series and the 7 Series. It's the same car. It's the exact same car.
You know what? It's really funny. Really quick before Gabe starts is that you say that is one thing that I did notice looking at the Countryman for the first time again today is I saw more BMW in this Mini than I've seen in any previous Mini.
I can see that.
It's like if you're standing like right behind the door near the back and you're kind of giving yourself that rear 3/4 view a little bit and you kind of walk towards the front of the car, it presents itself. It's like, oh, hi, BMW here.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, though.
It's not that it's bad, but it's noticeable.
Okay, DB, wind me up.
Go, Gabe. It's all you.
So, let's look at the data here. The Countryman is.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're out of time. No, not really.
Has the exact same wheelbase as the Clubman. Exact. But
okay, that makes sense. I get that.
Almost 2 inches longer. Yeah. And here's some key differences. The Countryman has 3 inches more rear legroom.
Yep.
And 1 inch more rear shoulder room. So it is designed to have more rear room for passengers. What's fascinating is it actually has 1 inch less legroom for front passengers. For the driver and passenger. Yeah. So what that means is the Clubman really emphasizes the front passengers. The Countryman emphasizes the rear passengers as far as the design. Everything else, it's pretty much the same. Cargo volume is actually almost identical.
Yeah.
It's 0.3 difference to the Countryman. Now, that is, that's including everything. It's not including the underneath the floor, but they have the same exact space there. So, you're really talking about a car that is effectively about the same. But that said, it is also almost 200 pounds heavier.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's think about that. So you're talking about a car with almost exact same dimensions. Basically, it's saying, I'm going to give you more rear leg room and shoulder room and short you the front, the front space. And then I'm going to penalize you 200 pounds.
Well,
and the best part is, DB, I'm going to charge you more.
Perfect.
But here's the thing.
That's something that we've talked about offline, too. We're going to come back around to that eventually at some point.
Is that it's the same engine and the same horsepower as the hardtop and 1,000 pounds more than my JCW. Oof. Okay? So that is what the real number difference to me, where the real gap is.
I would argue it's not 1,000 pounds more.
Well, on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's where it's more interesting to me. It's 7 inches longer than the previous Countryman and 350 pounds heavier.
Oh. And in response to, and Alex sent us some messages last week. Alex, you were out with a colleague somewhere, and your colleague who you said had nothing to do with Mini noticed a new Clubman, right? And said, wow, Minis have really gotten big and they don't look that fun anymore. And I think in comparison, we started looking at the numbers, and I said, compared to a 2002, the new Clubman, it's 9 inches. No, it's 2 feet. It's 24 inches, 2 feet longer than an R50.
But it should be. Why would it not be? Because Mini still sells a small Mini. That's great.
I get that. But I think from a perspective, I think the point we're missing here isn't so much that it's 2 feet longer. It deserves to be 2 feet longer. But when somebody looked at a new Clubman and said, well, that's a Mini. I remember Minis used to be small and fun looking.
Do you want a small Mini?
Yeah, but it's like,
you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, where's my small Mini?
Here's the thing. Our perceptions have changed to some degree, and people say, "Where's my small Mini?" But they don't want to buy a small Mini.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say.
They want to buy.
They keep complaining that it's too small. Yeah, they keep complaining it's too small, and then when it's too big, they say, "Oh, well, where's my small Mini?" The thing that I wonder though is that when will cars stop getting bigger? Because I look at the 5 Series, it's the same size as the 7 Series from the 90s. So Alex, where is it going to stop?
Right.
Well, one of the reasons that they had to start getting bigger, though, was because of crash test pedestrian standards that,
That's right, because the Europeans keep hitting people. They can't help themselves. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, well, the crash standards are not changing every year, are they? Are they changing every 7 years?
So Alex, to your point, the crash standards changed the front overhang and the height of the hood. What has changed the overall size of the vehicle is a consumer expectation. Let's be honest. Look at the data. People complained about the Mini being too small. People complained about, the fact that the center controls were confusing. People complained about a lot of these things, and they've all changed.
But can I
think about all the things that have been complained about? They have all changed, and now we're all bitching about them. We all predicted this. We knew this was going to happen. It's happening.
And the reason is why have y'all been to Walmart or Target lately and seen America?
No.
People are getting.
I refuse to go.
People are getting Americans. I can just say this unequivocally: Americans are getting larger, and I think that's what.
Yeah, I know. I don't like doing that because I feel like I look around and I feel like everybody's been stung by bees.
Yes, exactly.
I don't like going to those things because I feel weird about my country.
And they look at you like you're sick or something.
That is.
But anyway, I think that there's obviously something there, Todd. I think there's also this notion of, and listen, bigger is better. This is a car that's bigger. And BMW. And here's the other thing we're not talking about. BMW created 2 sizes for the UKL platform. One was the size of the R56. I'm sorry, the F56. The other was the size that corresponded with the X1. to make the Mini Countryman out of the X1, they took length off of the rear overhang, and voila, that's the Countryman. So they did not have a bespoke chassis to create a Countryman. They had to base it off of the X1. And think about this: the new X1 is smaller than the old X1 from an exterior size standpoint. Okay, and so BMW had to really tread carefully and say, we don't want to make the Mini too big, but we don't want to make the X1 too small. So this is the size that hard points the chassis. And we're going to make two cars based off of this, and we're going to hope they work out really well.
All right, well, let's move on now. I want to hear some spillage about the LCI coming up later this year, Gabe.
Well, first off, I didn't even tell you how I liked the F60. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I think you guys have had the same experience. It turns in really well. It performs, like, just generally speaking, the manual was quick enough. Brakes were good enough. But I mean, more than anything, what I thought was great is the way it handled. It really felt like a Mini.
Well, and that's because I said last week, you weren't here, that the wheelbase is longer and the track is wider. So the bigger car, I think they really found a nice happy medium between all of those things to make it not feel so clunky as the previous R60 Countryman. So handling,
what do you think about that? How do you grade it versus the previous Countryman?
I say 100 times better than the
Well, in terms of how it drives,
it's 100 times better. It feels like, like I said, blindfolded. It feels like not as good as my car because I've got the suspension, so I don't have a good perspective on the F56 in general. But I think the F56 hardtop in general, the new Countryman feels as much like it. You're going to drive the two back to back. You're going to go, this is a fun car. If I need the 4 doors, I'm buying this over the 4-door Mini because I really dislike
it. It doesn't feel that different. Yeah, well, that looks weird. I think in all seriousness, like, I think that the F56 is a clear improvement over the R56 in terms of steering feel and immediacy, despite the fact that there's a larger size. And I think the Countryman does the same thing to the old Countryman.
All right, I'm going to predict. I'm going to predict right now that the F56 it makes a resurgence this year, and the percentages go up a little bit more than I thought they were going to. They're going to equalize. Justin,
I would have to disagree because
Countryman's going to sell like crazy.
Yeah, I think the F60 is going to come along, Todd, and even though it's going to be the most expensive Mini ever created ever, I still think that car is going to sell better than the R60 did.
All right.
Yeah, totally. And here's
just me.
The thing.
I'm just me spitballing, but after looking at it today, that's the size car that people want to buy.
You're right.
And the Clubman is the car that people should buy.
That's the car. And the Clubman is the car that Gabe actually wants to have sex with.
I knew you were going to say that. No, DB, you can't have sex with a car.
Gabe, it's okay to love. Gabe, it's okay to love your car. Just don't love your car.
No, but I mean, it's in all seriousness, like it's just better car. Like, in a lot of ways, it's a smarter choice.
Yeah.
All right.
Same car, less money, more performance.
Yeah, we know. Gabe loves it. Gabe loves the Clubman.
I got like 90 seconds, and I got a plane to catch.
Yeah.
Go.
So LCI. So it's going to roll out in phases. So DCT, dual clutch transmission. Anybody want that?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Is anybody interested?
It's coming, right?
I get it.
Yes. It's going. So the DCT is scheduled for it is scheduled right now for November production.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it is scheduled for November production.
Average consumers are stupid. They don't know the difference. It's an automatic.
No, I'm talking about nobody's talking about it. Like, my sources are not talking about it, but I know, I've seen it. I know it's coming.
I got you. Okay.
So the other thing that my sources are not talking about is the rest of the LCI. It's not coming this summer, from what I can tell.
It's going to be this fall.
So it's going to roll out in phases. It's going to be this fall, and it's going to be in next spring.
When are we going to get a new front bumper on the F generation?
This fall.
This fall. Yeah, supposedly that's going to be 2018 model year.
Okay.
So think about it.
Which ironically,
So
the
when-
JCW Countryman is going to be in 18, Gabe, and that comes out next month.
Yeah.
JCW Countryman is not going to be part of that.
Huh.
No, it's not. But it is an 18. What I'm saying is it's going to be confusing.
So that will not be part of it. So the LCI is going to affect the F56
Hard top.
and the F55,
A 4-door.
Ick.
and then theoretically speaking, the F57.
Triple to the convertible, yeah, because it's pretty
I
much.
saw a 4-door in the wild today. Ugh.
Did it make you ill?
Yeah, it did.
I see a lot. Yeah, I see a lot of photos, man. I see a lot of photos. So anyway, so that's the story, man. So there's a lot of a lot of changes happening. There's going to be a new lighting design. So the new lighting ring around the lights is going to be
Like the Countryman.
continuous.
So it's going
Like
to
the
be.
Countryman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So that's gonna happen. The new bumper will be it will fix the chin. This is what it's been inferred to me.
Right.
It will fix the chin. It'll look different. The rear will look different as well. The rear lights will not be that different. There'll be some subtle changes there. What will change is the engine output. And it was unclear to me if it's going to be part of the LCI, but they are going to be introducing a new step change in engines in the next 18 months. It could be part of the LCI, and that's going to increase power. Oh gosh, it's on Motoring File, so I can't remember the percentage, but it's going to incrementally increase power.
7%.
But I think I think that seems right. But I think more importantly, it's going to increase the smoothness of the thing, so it's going to feel more refined, which I think is fantastic. So what is the DCT going to do? That's one thing I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to replace the automatic or if it's going to be a third option. That's the one thing I'm not entirely clear of. Or what car it's going to be available on. I would suspect a Cooper S and JCW.
Honestly, like based on what Todd and DB said just 5 seconds ago, like I wouldn't make this an option. Like people don't even know the difference. Just like make it automatic or manual, and make the automatic DCT.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to phase it in because it's a little more. It's just a little more expensive. But as Gabe said a couple months ago in Motoring File, that they've managed to kind of leverage a buying power to get the price down to where they can do it. But still being a little more expensive, I think they're going to have to limit it to the Cooper S and the JCW as an automatic, just because people are willing to pay the higher end prices for that. That's just a
Gabe, are we gonna get like digital dials and getting rid of the plastic little indicator?
So that's a great question. I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anything for about 4 years on that. So when the F56 came out, not to get too specific, but I was told that there was a digital display in place of the tachometer they had worked on that they were hoping to introduce in a couple years. And I mean, that was on the product roadmap, essentially. I have not heard about that since then. So I hope so. I mean, I actually wish I could tell you more on that, but I was told not that it was going to change the fuel display, but it was actually going to create a round digital display, like an LCD or a round LCD in place of the tachometer, and it would be like a multifunction display that you could like move like parts of the navigation or whatever to that display. Which is, when you think about it, pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Pretty cool.
Nice. All right, Gabe, thank you very much, sir. We do appreciate it as always.
Yeah, no worries. And now I have a train to catch, or plane,
Pick one. It doesn't matter. Just okay.
or
automobile.
a submarine.
Submarine. Yes, Gabe has to go off and continue his top secret battles by submarine.
All right. Well, I mean, don't forget, I'm Grand Slam ball bearing.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again to Grand Slam Ball Bearings from motoringfile.com for joining us this evening. Thank you very much, Gabe.
All right. Thank you, Destroyer Ball Bearing, and Thor Pete, and Cutter Magnum, and Alligator Seawolf.
You're welcome.
I'm changing all the about pages tonight, Gabe.
right, see you guys.
See you guys later.
Bye bye.
See you again.
Thanks again to Gabe for joining us from motoringfile.com, of course. And one more thing I want to mention before we finish up here is we're going to just briefly, I want to touch on some racing. If for those of you who aren't following along at home, the mini team raced at Sebring this past weekend. If you guys are ever wondering how to watch those, if you're like me and Alex, you don't have TV, you can actually pull those races up usually at imsa.com, IMSA.com, or follow me on Twitter because I usually just retweet it. And then you can go watch some really great racing. It was pretty good racing this week. The Mini number 70, I think it was the number 73 car, finished at 4th place. I talked to Luis about this in the interview. You're actually going to hear that next week. And it's a really great interview about how racing at Sebring is such a beast of a monster and how exciting it was to do Daytona, which you can also hear in the feed already that you've already heard that one. And then also those guys in the number 73 car currently holding down 2nd in provisional point standings. Very, very cool. Next race happening in Coda in Austin, Texas in May. So keep an eye out for that. Good stuff. Does anybody have anything else?
No, sir.
Alex, 30 seconds. Go.
No, I'm good.
Really?
Alex, you still have rattles in your JCW, by the way?
Yes, more rattles than ever. So I mean, it's so irritating. Like, so what I do now, every time I stop the car, I pull the windows down because otherwise it's like it's really irritating.
God.
Oh my gosh! We're gonna fix this, Alex. I'm gonna find out someone. We're gonna start climbing ladders here.
Yeah.
Pulling punches.
Pulling strings.
Calling in favors, pulling strings, whatever we can do. We're gonna get you taken care of because this is unacceptable for a $40,000 car.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's again, like as I say all the time when I speak about that stuff, is my BMW.
Yeah,
I'm
not very premium.
Yep, I'm 10,000 miles and rattle free in my JCW, Alex, and I should have more rattles because I have ridiculous suspension and run flats on my car.
Yeah,
so
and I have the mileage that you have.
Yeah, you have 5,000 miles, and you don't have run flats, do you, or do you?
No, I have run flats. Yeah. By the way, which I on which I have 2 bubbles. I forgot to tell you guys that because the roads in the roads in San Francisco I'm not good.
So bad.
But what's surprising though is that like with the Beamer, I did hit like a couple of potholes like over 3 years, and never had like a thing. Like the wheel never cracked, the never bubble in the tires, like nothing. And I hit like two potholes like on the left side and on the right side with the Mini, and not like gigantic potholes. And I already have like 2 bubbles. Like it's kind of surprising. Yeah, I don't know. And it's funny because I think the wheel was the same size, like 18 inches, but it seemed to me that the tires on the BMW were a bit thinner than the one on the Mini, and so that's kind of even more surprising and I guess disappointing at the same time. But I keep driving them, so I don't know.
Time to go to Michelin Pilot Super Sports.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sadness. Just sadness. Mm-hmm. All right. And with that, we're going to be done. I'm going to do some business. Everybody else can just sit back and relax for a minute. But if you guys have a really cool shot of your Mini you want to share, and you want us to, you want the chance to be in the cover art for that week's show, it's super simple. You can upload it to the Facebook page. You can ping us, do an @reply on Twitter or Instagram, or you can upload it to the Patreon page, and we'll get it. And it's not a competition. I'm just adding them to the queue, and I'm just going to use them for show art, because you guys are uploading and sharing some really, really amazing shots. Again, this one by our man Rick Roberts. Thanks, sir, for sharing that. And you can do the same. Super easy stuff. There's that. I want to remind everybody about AmViv. I'm officially going. I've actually booked my hotel. Pretty awesome stuff. If you guys are going, look for us. I believe we're keeping all the things crossed. We might have a full crew minus Gabe. Maybe. Possibly. Yeah. Maybe. Mm-hmm. All the things. I
think we're going to have a tent, too.
And we might have a tent. And Todd, do you still have openings available for Motoring Stripes?
Oh, yeah.
So did we get our liquor license approved?
Don't ask for dude, you don't need a liquor license.
Not begging, dude. Come on. Even at the Silverton, you don't need a liquor license.
Free liquor everywhere.
That's right.
So I hardly know her.
Boom, boom, boom. Go over to motoringstripes.com. If you want Todd to put some stripes on your Mini during Vegas, that'd be awesome. And he will hook you up. Just use the contact form at motoringstripes.com, and he'll get you taken care of. Or if maybe you want a white roof radio sunroof delete kit, just punch that into the contact form there at motoringstripes.com as well. Todd will even install it for you in Vegas.
Absolutely.
It'll be awesome. Next week, or next time we meet, we'll have a full report from Todd. He is going to the Philly member meeting. By the time you guys hear this, it's already going on or it's already done. So we're going to take 2 weeks off just to let Todd, recover. He needs his liver to recover from that. But I'll
post to the White Roof Radio Instagram. So if you go check out Instagram, the White Roof Radio feed, and I'll post pictures over the weekend.
Perfect. You can get a link to that. Of course, we are White Roof Radio on Instagram if you guys aren't following us already. And if you are just too lazy to, type White Roof Radio in the search box on Instagram, you can find a link to it back over at whiteroofradio.com, or I'll stick it in the show notes so you guys can have it there as well. Otherwise, I think we're done. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. DetroitTune.com. If you'd like to buy yourself something nice from our man Chad, that's always good to do. DetroitTune.com. Help him, keep that new shop lit and shiny and clean. You can follow him on Facebook because the Chad, I'm not kidding. I think we said this either before the show or during Black Roof Radio, but the new shop really looks amazing.
We're always trying to keep it clean, and it's been full of a lot of cars lately. So we're starting to crank them out. The summer's starting to hit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't
Book
know
now.
Yeah, I don't know if
the Dragon's coming up for Chad too. So.
That's right, Dragon's coming up. Oh, see, it just looks so badass. I don't know what you guys are used to for like a local shop, but local shop for me, it's like dark, dingy, gray concrete floors, not very well lit, and it's a local shop, right? And if you do a search for Detroit Tune, you look at the images. Chad actually uploaded some new ones today, and you're kind of going, wow, that's a really clean, bright, well-lit space. It's very organized, and it's huge, and it looks pretty awesome. So, nicely done, sir. Very nicely done.
I'm getting old and getting blind, so, you got to make it bright.
You got to have a lot of light.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a Corvette, though. You got to replace that with a picture. Like maybe stick a Mini in there or something. Come on.
We're not a non-denominational car function here, so most of them happen to be minis.
Awesome. Anyway, that's, of course, our friends that's Chad over at Detroit Tune, DetroitTune.com. Anyway, thanks for listening, gang. Thanks for downloading the show and going gangbusters. Holy crap, 1 million downloads on the last episode. Not really 1 million, but quite a few. It reached a number larger than ever in the shortest amount of time ever. And
it was a Donald Trump million.
It was a Donald Trump million during the course of the show. So well done. Thank you very much if you are sharing the show or whatever. If you're new to us, thanks for listening. And if you want, if you haven't in a while, go over to iTunes, leave a nice review for us. That's always a lot of fun. Good times. And if you're looking for something new to listen to, ridebikesradio.com. Myself and Brian Dallas, we talk about bicycles every other week for about an hour. It's a good time. Go check it out, ridebikesradio.com. But now we are done. Officially done. Finished, at least, though. This is the point of the show where I like to make that funny clicking sound, and then I say, questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead, click back over to whiteroofradio.com. There you can leave us a note in the show notes. You can also email us, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. But until next week, gang, this is DB. I'm done.
Cheers.
See ya.
À bientôt.
Oh, we gotta pee.